Imagine this. He's standing at the edge of his world, looking back at the moments he took for granted, the love he thought would always be there. The realization doesn't come in a tidal wave. It creeps in, like the quiet stillness before a storm, until it's all-consuming. And in that moment, he knows he's lost something he can never replace. But here's the twist. This isn't about waiting for him to see your worth. It's about you stepping into your power so profoundly that he has no choice but to return, humbled and desperate, knowing he's standing before someone extraordinary. Queens, this is your moment to rise, not for him, but for you. They say, the phoenix rises not for the ashes it leaves behind, but for the skies it was always meant to conquer. And that's where your story begins, not in the heartbreak, but in the rebirth. You're not broken, you're rising. The love you gave wasn't wasted. It was a testament to the beauty and depth of your heart. But now it's time to turn that love inward, to fuel your own transformation and become the person who doesn't just attract, but commands respect, admiration, and devotion. The kind of person he will return to, not because he's entitled to a second chance, but because he'll finally realize he never deserved you in the first place. Think of yourself as a star, a celestial body so radiant that it lights up the darkest of skies. For too long, he may have taken your light for granted, assuming it would always be there to guide him, to comfort him, to warm the cold edges of his soul. But stars don't burn endlessly for those who fail to appreciate their brilliance. When you step back, when you reclaim your energy and direct it towards yourself, something extraordinary happens. Your light doesn't dim, it intensifies. And suddenly, the absence of your glow becomes the one thing he can't ignore. Relationships are a delicate dance, a rhythm shared between two hearts. But when one partner stops showing up, when they falter, take advantage, or stop matching your energy, that dance becomes unbalanced. And yet, here's the truth. You don't need him to be whole. The love you seek starts with you. It always has. By reclaiming your power, by focusing on your growth, your dreams, your joy, you're rewriting the narrative. You're showing him and the world that your worth has never been defined by his recognition of it. Enough is enough. Take your power back. Imagine him now, trying to piece together the fragments of what he lost. He'll look for you in the faces of others, replay your laughter in the quiet moments, and wonder how he ever thought he could replace the irreplaceable. That's the thing about people who underestimate you. They realize too late what they've done. But by the time he's begging for your attention, you'll have already built a life so full, so radiant, that his regret will only echo in the background of your triumph. They walked away, but you're still standing, stronger, wiser, unstoppable. The strongest fires create the brightest flames. Queens, this is your fire. Let it burn away the doubt, the fear, the lingering sadness. Let it fuel your rise. You've cried enough. It's time to conquer. Your scars are proof you survived, and your strength is the compass that will guide you forward. Every setback was a setup for this moment, a moment where you reclaim everything, where you prove to yourself that you were always the prize. They left? Good. Now, build without limits. This isn't about surviving heartbreak. It's about thriving in its aftermath. Picture a garden, lush and vibrant, bursting with life. You tended to him, nurturing the relationship, pouring your love into the soil. But instead of reciprocating, he allowed weeds to grow, choking the connection you worked so hard to cultivate. And now, as he surveys the ruins of that garden, he'll come to understand it wasn't the soil that failed. It was his neglect. But you? You've taken your seeds, your sunlight, and your magic elsewhere, and the garden you're growing now will bloom brighter than ever before. Stop waiting. The time is now. Your silence will echo louder than his words ever did. Stop chasing, stop explaining, stop giving access to someone who didn't value what he had. Instead, let your actions speak for you. Build a life that no one can ignore. Turn your pain into your power, your heartbreak into your strength. The most magnetic thing you can do isn't to convince someone of your worth. It's to live so fully, so beautifully, that they feel the void of your absence like a winter without end. That's the Stoic power move. That's the strategy that will bring him back, not because you need him, but because you've shown him that he can't live without you. You're not a victim. You're the hero of this story. Your future is watching. What will it see? A woman who rises despite the odds, who refuses to settle, who reclaims her crown and her throne. The love you deserve starts with the love you give yourself. Feel the pain, but don't live there. Use it. Let it sharpen your edges, strengthen your resolve, and fuel your growth. Your story isn't over. It's just beginning. And when he does come back, when he stands before you with his heart in his hands, remember this: his return is not your validation. You've already found that within yourself. You are the phoenix, the queen, the unstoppable force. You rise because you are worthy. And whether he's part of your future or not, one thing is certain: your light will never be taken for granted again. Queens, your power is unstoppable, and your journey is just beginning. Don't let this moment pass you by. Hit that subscribe button and join a community of fierce, radiant women rising into their worth every single day. Together, we'll build lives so extraordinary that the world can't help but take notice. Let's thrive, queens. Number 1. Your absence will be his loudest lesson. Imagine this. He's lying awake in the dead of night, the silence around him louder than any words ever spoken. The absence of your presence, once so constant and comforting, now roars like a thunderstorm in the stillness. It's not anger or arguments that haunt him. It's the quiet realization of what he lost. Your absence, my queen, is the lesson he never knew he needed. And as he begins to feel the void you left behind, the regret will echo louder than any words you could have ever said. This is the power of stepping back, not out of spite, but out of self-respect. They say, silence speaks when words cannot. And your silence, your withdrawal, becomes the mirror reflecting every misstep, every moment he failed to cherish the light you brought into his life. Relationships thrive on balance, on mutual effort, on the shared understanding that love isn't given, it's nurtured. But when one partner takes and takes without replenishing, the scales tip, and eventually something has to give. In this case, what gave was you. You walked away, not because you were weak, but because you refused to stay where your worth wasn't recognized. Think of yourself as the sun. For so long you shined brightly, offering warmth and light, without ever asking for anything in return. He basked in it, took comfort in the glow, assuming it would always be there. But even the sun must set, and now he's standing in the cold shadow of his own choices, wondering how he could have been so blind. Your absence is like a winter that stretches endlessly, a stark reminder of the warmth he didn't appreciate until it was gone. When you pull back, when you stop giving him access to your energy and your heart, something profound happens. It forces him to sit with his own thoughts, to confront the reality of his actions, or lack thereof. The distractions he once relied on to avoid accountability will fade, leaving him alone with the emptiness your love used to fill. And in that emptiness, he'll come to understand what you already knew. Love isn't about convenience. It's about effort, consistency, and respect. You're not broken, you're rising. This is your moment to reclaim everything you thought you'd lost. Your absence isn't a punishment, it's a boundary. It's a declaration of your self-worth, a statement that says, I will not settle for less than I deserve. Every day you choose yourself, every moment you invest in your own growth, you're not only becoming stronger, you're becoming unforgettable. The strongest fires create the brightest flames, and now your light burns with a fierceness that commands attention. Picture this: a once grand lighthouse, standing tall, its beam guiding ships safely to shore. That was you. His constant, his stability, the one who always showed up. But what happens when the light goes out? The sea becomes a treacherous, unpredictable void, and he's left navigating the darkness alone. That's the power of your absence. It's not about revenge. It's about reminding him and yourself of the value you bring. Your story isn't over. It's just beginning. You're not defined by his failure to see your worth. You're defined by how you rise, how you choose to thrive in the face of heartbreak. This isn't the end. It's a rebirth. Every setback you've endured was a setup for this moment, a moment where you realize that your love is a treasure, and not everyone deserves to hold it. When he finally does come back, and trust me, he will, it won't be because of anything you said or did to convince him. It will be because your absence spoke louder than any words ever could. It will be because he's come to understand that the love you gave, the loyalty you showed, and the light you offered are things he'll never find anywhere else. But when that moment comes, the choice will be yours, not his. And that's the real power move. Look in the mirror, Queen. That's your biggest ally. You've cried enough. It's time to conquer. Let your silence be the echo of your strength. Let your actions show that you don't need him to be whole, because your completeness has always been within you. Take your power back, not to prove him wrong, but to prove yourself right. The love you seek starts with you. Say this with me: my absence is my power. Write it in the comments, claim it, and let it guide you forward. If this message resonated with you, like this video and subscribe to the channel. We're working tirelessly to bring you life-changing lessons and reminders of the unstoppable force you are. Queens, your story isn't over. It's just beginning. Let's rise together. Number 2, you were his shelter, and now he's in the storm. Imagine a house standing tall, its walls sturdy, its roof a refuge from every storm. For him, that house was you. You were his shelter, the safe haven where he felt secure, understood, and whole. But what happens when the shelter he relied on, the foundation he never thought would shake, is suddenly gone? The winds howl, the rain lashes, and he's left exposed, vulnerable to the very storms he thought he could weather alone. This isn't just poetic justice. It's the power of your absence, the undeniable truth that you were never just a part of his life. You were the heart of it. They say, a ship is safe in harbor, but that's not what ships are built for. You were his harbor, the calm in his chaos, the grounding force that steadied him when the world felt overwhelming. But a harbor isn't meant to be taken for granted. It's meant to be cherished, protected, and valued. And when he failed to see your worth, when he took your warmth for weakness and your patience for permanence, he unknowingly set himself adrift. Now, he's caught in the storm of his own choices, longing for the safety he once dismissed. Picture this: You were the steady flame in his darkest nights, the glow that made his world feel less cold. He didn't realize it then, but your love was the kind of light that doesn't just illuminate, it transforms. It turned his storms into showers, his chaos into calm. But flames don't burn for free forever. When he stopped feeding the fire, when he let neglect and indifference creep in, that light began to fade. And now, as the storm rages around him, he's left in the dark, finally realizing that it wasn't the fire that failed, it was his lack of care. Relationships are a partnership, a delicate balance of give and take. But for too long, he leaned on you without ever giving back. You became the stronghold he depended on, the steady hand he thought would always catch him. And now, as he stumbles without that anchor, he's learning a painful lesson. Love isn't something to be taken for granted. It's something to be nurtured, respected, and reciprocated. Your departure isn't just a loss. It's the storm he didn't prepare for. Think of yourself as the eye of a hurricane, the calm amidst the chaos. For him, you were that calm, the sanctuary where his soul found rest. But storms can't last forever, and neither can unbalanced love. When you stepped away, you didn't just take your presence, you took the very thing that gave him strength. And now, as he faces the full force of his own storm, he's left with nothing but the memory of the shelter you once provided. You're not broken, you're rising. His failure to see your worth doesn't diminish it, it amplifies it. This is your moment to reclaim everything you gave so freely. Stop waiting for him to realize what he's lost. Start living in a way that makes your absence undeniable. Let the love you once poured into him flow back into yourself, fueling your growth, your dreams, your happiness. The most powerful thing you can do isn't to wait for him to beg. It's to become someone he can't help but long for, someone whose strength and resilience shine so brightly that it leaves him humbled. Imagine him now, standing in the rain, feeling the chill of your absence. He'll try to find shelter elsewhere, but nothing will compare to the warmth you provided. Every makeshift refuge will feel inadequate. Every fleeting connection will remind him of what he let go. The storm won't just rage around him, it will rage within him, a constant reminder that he underestimated the one person who truly mattered. Your strength isn't just inspiring, it's magnetic. As you rebuild, as you rise, as you become the person you were always meant to be, you're not just attracting him back, you're showing him what he lost. This isn't about revenge, it's about reclamation. It's about proving not to him but to yourself that you were never defined by his recognition of your worth. You were the shelter, the foundation, the light. And now you're the storm he can't ignore. Write this affirmation in the comments. I was his shelter, and now I am the storm. Let it remind you of your power, your resilience, your irreplaceable role in his life. Like this video if this message resonated with you, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We're here to create life-changing lessons, to remind you of your worth, and to help you rise into the life you deserve. This is your moment, Queen. Take it. Number 3. He'll realize you're the missing piece in his puzzle. Imagine him sitting in the quiet stillness of his life, staring at the fragments of what used to be, and realizing something crucial. None of it makes sense without you. Like a puzzle missing its centerpiece, everything he thought he wanted, everything he believed would bring him happiness, now feels incomplete. He might not have noticed it at first, but as the days stretch into nights, the absence of your presence becomes the most glaring void in his world. And it's in that silence, in the spaces where your love used to live, that he'll come to understand. You were never just a part of his life. You were the piece that made it whole. They say, the heart recognizes what the mind tries to deny. And that's exactly where his journey begins. At first, he'll try to fill the void with distractions, fleeting moments of connection that pale in comparison to the depth of what you shared. But as time passes, those substitutes will crumble under the weight of comparison. Your laughter, your strength, your unwavering love. It was never ordinary. It was the anchor that steadied his ship, the compass that guided him through storms he didn't even realize he was navigating. And now, lost at sea, he'll realize you were the North Star he let slip away. Think of a masterpiece hanging in a grand gallery. It's stunning, intricate, captivating, until someone removes its centerpiece. Suddenly, the entire composition falls apart, leaving nothing but an empty frame and a sense of something missing. That's what your absence does. You weren't just a decoration in his life. You were the masterpiece, the essential element that brought everything into harmony. Without you, the colors dull, the lines blur, and he's left with nothing but the realization that the life he thought was complete is now a shell of what it could have been. You're not broken. You're evolving. This isn't about waiting for him to see your worth. It's about you becoming the best, most vibrant version of yourself, regardless of who notices. Your journey isn't about proving a point. It's about reclaiming your joy, your purpose, your magic. The strongest fires create the brightest flames, and as you rise, your light will illuminate not just your path, but also the shadows he tried to ignore. He'll feel that light from afar, and it will awaken something within him, a recognition, a longing, a regret that will echo through every part of his being. Relationships are built on the invisible threads of connection, trust, and shared purpose. You were the one weaving those threads, creating a tapestry of love that held everything together. But when he stopped appreciating the beauty of what you were building, those threads began to unravel. And now, as he stands among the remnants, he'll see the truth. It wasn't the tapestry that failed. It was his inability to cherish the hands that wove it. He walked away, but you're still standing, stronger than ever, holding the tools to create something even more beautiful. Imagine him now, scrolling through old memories, hearing your voice in the echoes of his mind, and feeling the weight of what he lost. Every laugh he dismissed, every moment he overlooked, will become a thorn in his heart. And as he searches for you in others, he'll come to understand that what you gave wasn't just love. It was an irreplaceable gift. You weren't a placeholder in his story. You were the plot twist, the climax, the resolution. And now, without you, the story feels unfinished, the pages empty, the narrative incomplete. Your power doesn't lie in his return. It lies in your transformation. The love you gave so freely to him now becomes the fuel for your growth. You don't need him to validate your worth. You've always had that within you. This is your moment to rise, not for anyone else, but for yourself. Feel the pain, but don't live there. Let it shape you, strengthen you, remind you of the resilience that has carried you this far. You're not a victim. You're the hero of this story, and your rise is the chapter no one saw coming. Say this with me. I am the piece no one can replace. Write it in the comments, queens, and let it echo as a reminder of your worth. Let the world know you're stepping into your power, not waiting for validation, but claiming it as your own. And if this message resonates with you, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Together, we're creating a community of strength, resilience, and empowerment. This is just the beginning. Your story is far from over. It's about to get extraordinary. Number 4. The gravity of your love will pull him back. Imagine the pull of the moon on the tides, a silent, unrelenting force that moves oceans, shaping their rhythm, commanding their rise and fall. That's the power of your love. Even now, as he drifts away, caught up in distractions and illusions, the gravity of your love pulls at him. It's an unseen but undeniable force that will bring him back, not because you're waiting, but because the depth and authenticity of what you gave him cannot be replaced. Queens, this isn't about chasing him. It's about realizing the immense strength of your presence and the undeniable impact you leave behind. They say, true love doesn't disappear, it imprints. And your love? It's etched into his soul, not in fleeting moments, but in the quiet, profound ways it held him together. Relationships aren't just built on shared words or laughter. They're built on the unspoken strength, the quiet resilience, and the unwavering support that you offered. Even now, as he tries to move on, as he convinces himself he's fine without you, the pull of your love will bring him back. Because love like yours isn't just felt, it's lived. Picture a tree standing tall in the fiercest storm. Its roots grip the earth with unwavering determination, holding firm even as the winds rage. That's the metaphor for your love. While he may wander like the wind, your presence has left an indelible mark. He will come to realize that no matter where he goes, he cannot escape the pull of the roots you planted in his life. And when the storm calms, when the noise of the world fades, it's those roots that will call him home. You're not broken, you're evolving. The love you gave wasn't a weakness, it was a gift, a rare transformative force that lifted him up even when he didn't know how to value it. But now, this isn't about him anymore. It's about stepping into your power and becoming so radiant, so magnetic that he's drawn back. Not because you're waiting, but because you've become the best version of yourself. This is your moment to rise, to take the love you once gave him and redirect it toward building a life that reflects your worth. Imagine him now, sitting in the quiet of his thoughts, trying to fill the void you left behind. He'll replay moments when your love steadied him, when your kindness soothed him, and when your presence made his world brighter. He'll realize that the laughter he's seeking, the connection he's chasing, will always pale in comparison to what you gave him. The gravity of your love will pull him back, not through desperation, but through the irreplaceable weight of the bond you shared. This is your time to reclaim everything. Stop wondering if he sees your worth, because he will. When the distractions fade and the illusions of temporary connections dissolve, your love will be the constant he can't ignore. Queens, they underestimated you. Now is your chance to rise, not as someone waiting for validation, but as someone who knows their value and refuses to settle for less. Enough is enough. Take your power back. You're not just surviving heartbreak, you're thriving in its aftermath. Think of the stars in the night sky. Some shine brighter than others, their light reaching across vast distances, illuminating even the darkest spaces. That's you, your love, your presence, your strength. It doesn't fade just because someone failed to see its brilliance. Instead, it burns brighter, drawing everything back toward its warmth. And while he's wandering through the shadows, searching for what he lost, your light will guide him back, not because you need him, but because you've become a force too extraordinary to ignore. Feel the pain, but don't live there. Let it fuel your growth. Every tear, every moment of doubt is shaping you into someone unstoppable. Stop waiting for permission to be amazing. The love you seek starts with you. The life you deserve begins now. And when he comes back, humbled by the pull of what he lost, you'll stand tall, not because you need him to complete you, but because you've already found completeness within yourself. Say this with me. My love is magnetic and unshakable. Write it in the comments, queens, and let it be your affirmation, a declaration of your power and your worth. And if this message resonated with you, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. We're here to create life-changing lessons that remind you of your strength, your brilliance, and your ability to rise. Together, we're unstoppable. Together, we thrive. Number 5. Your growth will be his wake-up call. Imagine this. He's scrolling through his phone late at night, eyes lingering on the life you've been building without him. Every picture, every achievement, every smile radiates the strength he once overlooked. Suddenly, the world he thought he knew begins to shift, and the reality he's been avoiding crashes in. He didn't just lose someone, he lost someone extraordinary. Your growth, your resilience, your transformation. It's the wake-up call he never saw coming. And now, as he pieces together the fragments of what he took for granted, he's left with only one thought. How did I let her slip away? They say, your growth is the loudest response to those who doubted you. In relationships, it's easy for people to underestimate the power of a woman's evolution. But here's the truth. The moment you redirect your energy from seeking their validation to nurturing your own dreams, you become unstoppable. You're not broken, you're rising. Every tear, every moment of doubt, every painful goodbye has been the fuel for your transformation. And as you step into this new version of yourself, you're not just showing him what he lost, you're reminding yourself of everything you've gained. Picture a butterfly emerging from its cocoon, wings vibrant and full of life. For a while, it seemed fragile, tethered to the shell of what it used to be. But transformation isn't about the cocoon. It's about the flight. You, my dear, are that butterfly. He may have left thinking you'd remain the same, but now, as you soar, he'll realize that the woman he once knew is gone. In her place stands someone stronger, wiser, and more radiant than he ever imagined. And that realization, it's the moment he begins to understand the magnitude of his mistake. Relationships often act as mirrors, reflecting both the best and the worst in us. While he may have seen you as a constant, someone who would always be there, he underestimated your capacity to evolve. Growth is a silent revolution, and you've been quietly rebuilding yourself, piece by piece. You didn't just survive his departure, you thrived in its aftermath. Your scars are not signs of weakness, they're proof of your resilience. And now, as you rise higher than ever, he'll be forced to look into the mirror of your success and confront the truth of his choices. Imagine him trying to move on, seeking in others the depth, the loyalty, the love you gave so freely. But love like yours isn't something he can replace. It's a rare gem he overlooked. The more he searches, the more he'll feel the void left by your absence. Your growth isn't just a wake-up call for him, it's a celebration of you. You've cried enough. You've doubted enough. It's time to reclaim everything you gave away and build a life so full, so extraordinary, that he has no choice but to see your brilliance. Think of a garden flourishing under the care of its gardener. For too long, he assumed the garden would thrive without attention, without nurturing. But now, as the flowers bloom brighter than ever, it becomes clear. It was never just a garden. It was a masterpiece of your own creation. He'll see your strength in every petal, your wisdom in every root, and your power in every leaf. And as he stands at the edges, watching what he once had slip further away, regret will weigh heavier than ever. This is your moment to rise, to take back the narrative and live a life that leaves no room for doubt. You don't need him to be whole. The strongest fires create the brightest flames, and you, my dear, are blazing. Feel the pain, but don't live there. Let it guide you, strengthen you, and remind you of the woman you're becoming. Every step forward is a reminder that his choices don't define you. You do. This isn't just a story of heartbreak. It's a story of triumph, of growth, of rising into your power. Say this with me. My growth is my power. Write it in the comments, let it echo in your mind, and let it guide your actions. This is your affirmation, your declaration, your truth. And if this message resonated with you, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. We're here to help you reclaim your power, rebuild your confidence, and remind you that you were never meant to settle. Your story isn't over, it's just beginning. Let's rise together, queens. Your future is waiting. What will it see? Let it see the brilliance that no one can ignore. Number 6. He'll taste the bitterness of comparison. Imagine this. He sits across from someone new, watching their lips move, hearing their laughter, but something feels off. It's not the same. The spark isn't there. Every word they say, every smile they offer, pales in comparison to the memory of you. The realization creeps in slowly at first, like a distant whisper, but soon it roars, undeniable and relentless. He's chasing shadows. What he let go was real, irreplaceable, and now the bitterness of comparison is the only taste he knows. They say, the heart doesn't lie, it knows its true home. And your love wasn't just a moment in his life, it was the foundation. You were the standard, the benchmark against which every other experience pales. Relationships aren't just about companionship, they're about depth, connection, and the unique magic two people create together. And that magic? It's something he'll spend a lifetime trying to recreate, only to realize it was never about finding someone new. It was about losing someone extraordinary. Think of a masterpiece, a painting so breathtaking that no imitation could ever do it justice. You are that masterpiece. You didn't just fill a space in his life, you elevated it, brought color to the mundane and depth to the shallow. Now, as he holds up these new relationships against the canvas of what you shared, he'll see it. How dull, how lifeless everything else seems. It's not about revenge or proving a point. It's about the undeniable truth that your presence was a gift he foolishly discarded. The bitterness of comparison is a powerful thing. It starts small, a joke that doesn't land, a moment of silence that feels too loud, and then it grows. He'll start noticing all the little things that made you unique, the way you understood his unspoken words, how you laughed at his quirks, how you stood by him even when he faltered. These aren't things he can replace. They're the essence of who you are, and they'll haunt him in every interaction he has moving forward. Imagine a melody that's etched into your soul, one so beautiful that every other tune sounds hollow in its wake. You were that melody in his life, a harmony that made everything else feel complete. Now, as he tries to compose a new song, he'll find the notes don't fit. The rhythm feels forced. That's the price of losing something real. He's left searching for you in others, but all he'll find are pale imitations, echoes of the love he let go. You don't need his regret to validate your worth. You've always been enough. The love you gave was rare, not because of him, but because of you. They underestimated you. Now prove them wrong, not with words, but with the life you create, the joy you cultivate, the strength you embody. Your scars are proof you survived, and your growth is the evidence that you've thrived. This is your moment to reclaim everything. Stop waiting for permission to be amazing. You've had that power all along. Let's be clear. This isn't about waiting for his return. It's about becoming so radiant, so fulfilled, that his regret becomes inevitable. When he does come back, and he will, it won't be because of what he sees in others. It'll be because of what he remembers about you, your resilience, your grace, your unshakable worth. You're not the one who lost. You're the one who rose, who turned heartbreak into a masterpiece of strength and beauty. Look in the mirror. That's your biggest ally. The love you gave wasn't a mistake. It was a gift, a reflection of the depth of your heart. Let this moment fuel your rise, not hold you back. Every setback was a setup for this moment. Feel the pain, but don't live there. Instead, let it shape you, strengthen you, and remind you of what you truly deserve. You're not a victim. You're the hero of this story, and your best chapters are still unwritten. Queens, your worth isn't measured by his regret. It's measured by the life you create without him. Say this with me. I am the masterpiece he will never replace. Write it in the comments and claim it as your truth. Let it remind you every day that you are irreplaceable, unshakable, and unstoppable. If this resonated with you, like this video and subscribe to the channel. We're here to bring you life-changing lessons and empower you to rise into your greatest self. Together we'll thrive, because you're not just surviving, you're conquering. This is your story, your rise, your power. Let's make it unforgettable. Number 7, your light will shine where his darkness cannot follow. Have you ever noticed how even the brightest light can seem invisible to those who refuse to open their eyes? That's where your story begins, where your radiance was taken for granted, your love undervalued, and your presence assumed. But here's the truth. Your light doesn't dim because someone failed to see it. It shines on, piercing through the shadows, even in places where their darkness cannot follow. And when they finally realize the depth of what they've lost, it will be your light, not their regret, that defines the story. You don't chase the sun, you bask in its warmth, if you're lucky enough to feel it. Queens, you were that sun, steady, life-giving, irreplaceable. But when someone tries to pull your light into their shadows without giving back, it's not your job to dim yourself to make them comfortable. Instead, you rise higher, shining brighter, becoming the beacon they will long for but may never touch again. This is your time to reclaim your power, not to prove anything to them, but to remind yourself of who you've always been, extraordinary, resilient, and unshakable. Picture a lighthouse standing tall on a stormy night. Its beam cuts through the darkness, guiding ships safely to shore. But what happens when a sailor refuses to follow its light, choosing to navigate on his own? He may think he can find another way, but soon he's lost in the storm, desperately searching for the beacon he ignored. That's your light, constant and unwavering, but not for those who take it for granted. You've offered love, support, and clarity. But it's not your job to guide someone who doesn't value the path you illuminate. Relationships are meant to be partnerships, not rescue missions. If someone leaves you questioning your worth or forcing you to dim your brilliance for their insecurities, it's time to walk away. Because the right person doesn't just stand in your light, they amplify it. The wrong one, though, will try to pull you into their shadows, not realizing that your light wasn't meant to be contained. Enough is enough. Take back your radiance. Let your love and presence become something so powerful, so self-assured, that they're left chasing the glow they once took for granted. Imagine him now, sitting in the quiet, staring into the darkness of his own making. He thought he could move forward without you, but instead, he's surrounded by shadows, feeling the void of your absence, your laughter, your kindness, your unwavering love. It was the light he didn't even realize he needed until it was gone. And as he tries to find his way back, it won't be you who moves toward him. Your path is forward, toward the life you were meant to create, filled with the love and joy you deserve. Your light doesn't fade just because he left. In fact, it grows stronger. With every step you take toward your own growth, you shine brighter. With every boundary you set, every moment you choose yourself, you become a force that cannot be ignored. He may try to return, drawn to the glow he once underestimated, but this time, you're the one in control. This isn't about revenge or proving him wrong. It's about reclaiming your space, your joy, and your worth. Let's be clear, his regret is not your validation. It's simply a byproduct of your unwavering brilliance. While he wrestles with the shadows of his choices, you're moving forward, becoming the woman who turns every setback into a stepping stone. The strongest fires create the brightest flames, and your fire is blazing now. Feel the pain, but don't live there. Let it fuel your rise, not his return. You've cried enough. It's time to conquer. Your light will shine where his darkness cannot follow. And as you rise, you'll see that the love you've been searching for was within you all along. You're not broken, you're evolving. Every setback was a setup for this moment, a moment where you realize your worth isn't tied to someone else's ability to see it. Look in the mirror, that's your biggest ally. You're not surviving anymore, you're thriving. Say this affirmation with me. My light shines beyond their shadows. Write it in the comments and claim it as your truth. Queens, your power is undeniable. Your future is waiting, and your story isn't over. It's just beginning. If this message resonates with you, like this video and subscribe to the channel. We're here to bring you life-changing lessons and to remind you of the brilliance you've always had. Together, we rise. Let's build a world where your light is never taken for granted again.